Welcome everybody. Cell phones off, please.
Yes, he's already said something.
It's funny, I don't mind.
You don't mind?
No.
Okay, well, cell phones on.
Yeah, I don't mind. Just don't take a call. Like.
That's the phone. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome. This is Nick Haralambous, Nick Harry.
Thank you.
Nick Soft.
That's what they called me for 5 years at school. No jokes.
We also call him Momo, the moaning Mohammed, for obvious reasons.
And I like to moan. Yeah.
And he's a close friend, and the best thing about him is his girlfriend. And
True.
we should learn a lot tonight about Nick's businesses, pros and cons, successes and failures, and a lot about building your personal profile and what that does for your business. So, open environments, ask questions, stop if you're not sure. Any spelling mistakes, please point them out.
I'm a journalist, not a sub-editor. Yeah.
From Rhodes. Right, enjoy.
See, I don't have to say it now. Yeah, so just to start, feel free to ask me questions at any point, to call out bullshit on anything. I'm as new to all of this as all of you are, sort of. So, hello.
Hello.
Hi. That's me on the BBC. That's my claim to fame in history. No. So who am I? I'm actually a journalist by trade. I'm a writer, and that didn't work out for me because print is dying. So I decided to walk a path of insanity. As most of you will attest, what we do is absolutely batshit crazy. So I started with journalism and politics at university. Fuck knows why. There's no money in either of those. I did work at 702, Sunday Times, Financial Mail, Mail&Guardian, and at Mail&Guardian I started to dive into the mobile thing. This was, geez, about 8 years ago. I can't even remember at this point. And from there, I had a brief stint at a startup called Zoopy, which was video online, not my most successful career choice. But I moved over to Vodacom, and Vodacom is where I really started to learn about Africa and mobile and technology. And I built a social network for them called The Grid, who would become my co-founder in Motribe. And Vince and myself built The Grid at Vodacom for 2 years. And while we were there, got sick and tired of building someone else's vision and making other people money. Vodacom earns a metric shit ton of money, and we weren't seeing any of it. So we decided to move on and do something new, which I'll tell you about Motribe in a second. And after that, I started a sock company, and I sell socks online now. So I've done a lot of stupid things in the last decade. Most of them are start businesses. The thing I've realized is that starting businesses should be your first choice and not your last resort. And that's a really, really key point. I didn't do it because I had no other option. I did it because I wanted to do it. And people often start businesses and go, oh, I'm going to be my own boss. Could be further from the truth if I could think of anything. Everyone else controls my time. Everyone. My clients, my investors, my girlfriend, my dogs. I really don't dominate a lot of my time. But it shouldn't be a last resort because it won't work. So I've had 10 very, very significant failures. And of those 10 failures, after that only one business was exited successfully. And Mxit is currently up and running and sustainable, so I wouldn't call it a success yet. But I've done a lot of businesses, and it's like anything else in life. You have to practice and you have to fail and you have to learn. If you don't learn from your failures, then all you're doing is failing. So the key thing that I took out of failing so often is learn. Every time you fail, learn what you fucked up and don't do that again. Or do it again, but in a different way. So failure for me has been an absolutely integral part of how I've grown and developed. And it's a very American thing to fail and fail quickly. Facebook's motto in the beginning was move fast and break things. And that's smart. Move fast, break things. Don't be apprehensive. Don't be patient. Go forth and do shit. Because you learn by doing, not thinking and listening and talking, doing. So I did it very effectively. I moved fast and I broke everything in my path. And I had bad partners and I had good partners. But the key thing was that I learned. So the business that really started to teach me the most was Motribe. Motribe, in short, was a mobile social network builder. We built social networks optimized for mobile devices in Africa for big brands. An example is we built a social network in Nigeria for Guinness that grew to 1 million users in 8 months, and then Guinness had this network of community that they could talk to. So how do we do that? We were at Vodacom, we had an idea, we built this on our weekends and holidays over a period of 2 months. We found a name, and it's really interesting. The name thing is always something I get asked about, and Motribe is a really good name, and we got the .com, and it's like a 6-letter domain, or 7-letter domain name. And I literally typed it into Google. There wasn't anyone who took it. I searched for the domain, and I bought it for $11. There was no big hoo-ha, it just fit. So we got the name, we built a prototype, we wrote a business plan, and on that business plan, we raised 2.5 million rand. Moved down to Cape Town and started the business. And then business was really, really, really easy because we signed our first clients of 500,000 rand within 2 weeks of launching our product. We signed our second client of 2.5 million rand within 6 weeks of that. And we thought, fuck, this is easy. Entrepreneurship is the way to go. Let's hire staff, let's get offices, let's do all the stupid shit that first-time entrepreneurs do. And we did. And then a year into our first client, they didn't sign for a second year. And we went from earning 3 million rand a year to earning 500,000 rand a year. And I had to fire 5 staff, and I had to not earn a salary for 6 months, and I had to eat shit. And do all the things we've all done, right? Like, this is what it is to be in a business. But one thing I learned, and one of the major lessons that I learned, is you can't be an expert overnight. And it's something that my generation battles from. And I say my generation, even though I've turned 30 recently and I battle with that. I still feel like I'm part of a younger generation. But the generation of fast communication, fast internet, social networking, email all the time, phones always being on, we all think that shit is easy. We all think that becoming an expert is as easy as reading a Wikipedia page about something, when it's not. It's about learning and failing and trying for 10 years at the same thing, and then you have the right to say the shit you think matters. So we took time to become experts at mobile. We'd done it for 2 years at Mail&Guardian. We'd done it for 3 years at Vodacom, 2 years at Vodacom. And we'd been in mobile before anyone else had been in mobile. And so with Motribe, we had become the experts in building social networks on mobile. And it worked. But the harder we push, the more we realize that overnight does not exist. Overnight, my ass. So I'm going to say it up front, and most of you who've been doing this for a while will know this. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It does not absolutely exist. And to prove that to you, we're going to play a little game. Can you guess the ages of these companies? And I actually would like you to guess. So Angry Birds, any ideas? We all know the company, right? 8, 7 or 8. Okay, 2, cool. Facebook, do we know? Does anyone know? 10, cool. Okay, more interesting, Puma.
Since the 40s.
Okay, cool. New York Times, this one gets everyone.
104.
You're pretty good, I'm impressed. Okay, so just go through all of these. Just go through, yeah, this is, Spilly told me to change that one, and I did, and this is a different version, I'm sorry. It's also wrong on the next slide, so, yeah. Told you, I'm a journalist, not a sub-editor. So just remember these, and remember what you thought they were in age. And this is how old they actually are. New York Times is 163 years old. Microsoft is 39 years old. 39. That's insane. McDonald's, the lesser known McDonald's, is 74 years old. Now, this has become really, really important for me at the moment, right? So my goal for this year, the only goal I've had this year, literally New Year's Eve, I thought I'd stopped smoking 4 years ago, so that one was easy. Now I've stopped that, I don't have any others. So I thought, what is my only goal this year? And I kept it really simple. I wanted to read more. So what I did was I set a goal of 3 books a month. Any book of any length, any topic, any genre, whatever it was, 3 books a month. And it ends up that I like reading about people's stories and how people got to where they are. So I've read the Ford story, the Amazon story. I'm reading Warren Buffett's biography. I've read about Ben & Jerry's, about Polaroid. And the number one thing that I've discovered about all of these amazing people who've built all of these amazing things is they think in decades. They don't plan in years. They don't live in months. They think in decades. And this is why. Because it takes 38 years to build Apple. 38 years to build a company that has $165 billion in cash. That is enough cash to buy Facebook, Twitter, and Nike, and a couple of others, and still have $40 billion left in cash. It takes 38 years to build that company, not the 5 years that we think in. Great things, anything that is great is not worth doing if it's not long. It takes time to do all this shit. And for some reason in this generation where we have access to information, and your phone, if you think about it, is this mind-bending technology where you can access any piece of technology at the tap of a button, and any piece of information that's ever been written at the tap of a button in your pocket right now. In that generation, it's hard to think in decades because everything that's ever been written is in your phone, literally. That's a scary thing to consider, right? And we forget and we want to rush through everything, but good things take time. Steers is 42 years old. It doesn't feel like it, but 42 years old. That's amazing. So what we started doing at Motribe was we built a product, and we then started making money. And there's a difference between product and profit. Launching a product is not success. Raising funding is not success. In South Africa, and I'm coming from a very tech-orientated position, the last few years I've built tech companies, there is this really bad idea that raising money is a form of success, and it's not. Raising money is the start of your debt that you need to work out of to build a business, to become profitable, to pay those investors back their money. So it's something that we learned because we raised a ton of money. After the 2.5 million at Motribe, we raised another 4. So we raised money. We did manage to exit, as you will see soon, but launching a product is not success. It's the part that gets you in the game, because without a product, no one will know what you are there for. So you have to have a product just to play. So people buying and using your product is a more fun and direct version of what success could look like. It's the beginning of what you should be looking for. Is if no one's buying your product, no one's using your product, and they're not coming back for your product, you have a problem. And it's a very real problem, and you should acknowledge that and be very serious with yourself. Long-term profit is success. Exiting a business is not a goal that you should be targeting. Profitable businesses sell for more money. So you should always be targeting for profit. And I'm not talking about some big revenue numbers. I'm talking about cold, hard profit. That is what makes businesses successful. That's what makes businesses purchasable. That's what makes people throw money at you to get you. Selling your business is often not a success. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's shitty. Sometimes you get fucked over. And sometimes it makes you money. So you should weigh up what you want out of your business. And we did. Someone gave me some really good advice when we started Motribe, and he actually joined our advisory board. He said, and this was a guy who started a tech company in the dot-com boom in '99 and lost all of his money in 2000. He raised about $60 million, moved to San Francisco, was about to sell his business, and then the bottom dropped out and literally lost $60 million, a $250 million sale, and had to move back to South Africa with nothing after firing 80 staff. He said to us really simply, when you start your business, 2 things. Don't marry your idea. So be happy and willing to move and change and shift if the market moves. So I'm selling socks now. If no one buys my socks, do something else. Keep the business and just do something else. If you're thinking in decades, who cares if you do something else, right? Because it takes a long time for the cycle to come around. The other thing he said was think of a number. If you want to sell your business, think of a number and stick to it. And if someone offers you that number, take it. Because, see point number 1, you're not married to your idea. So take the money and build something new if you want to sell your business. If you don't, use the profits and have a business. So selling my child, selling my little baby, it was tough. I sold Motribe at the end of 2012 to Mxit. I didn't particularly want to sell my business, but being the CEO, having investors and a co-founder, you have fiduciary and legal responsibilities to them and your staff and your shareholders to do the right thing. And when someone offers you money and it's profitable for everyone involved, you put your big boy pants on and you do the right thing. So I did that. Selling Motribe sucked, but making money didn't. So I made some money out of the sale, not enough to make me rich. I still work every day. But it gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. It gave me the freedom to build a business that I wanted to build. Sucks. And exiting a business is not easy. The negotiations are tough because a percentage here and there, when you're talking a sale of a business, is the difference between me earning R1 million or me earning R2 million. That shit matters. So people squeeze. And the way I got squeezed was I was removed from the business because the sale was agreed on, and then they stopped paying my salary, and then they renegotiated the contract. So it becomes tough because that difference is whether you can afford the deal or not. So it's not that fun. The main thing that I learned out of a sale, the one thing that I got in the contract that I chose was that I controlled the PR, which meant I controlled the messaging. So if you go back and you read the PR about my story, you'll believe I'm a billionaire. You will. Because I'm a good journalist. So I wrote the PR to spin my story the way I wanted to spin my story. And I'm not a billionaire. I'm a guy who exited a business. Less than 10% of businesses that start survive 18 months into their business, and we managed to exit. So however you look at it, it was okay, it was successful, but I still was giving up my baby. And if any of you have built something that you spend 16 hours a day building, it's tough. It's tough to let go of anything, whether you're making millions or not. It's tough to let go of something you've spent time building. But we did. So what I did was, after selling my business, I had a month of depression, proper severe, in my underwear and socks, watching TV for a month of depression, genuine and real depression. I've never experienced like that before. Fortunately, my girlfriend and I have been together for a long time, so she let me have my depressive state. And then at one point, I noticed that my socks had holes in them. And I like to wear Happy socks, and I was actually wearing the brand Happy Socks at the time. And I've been wearing Happy socks for a while. It was kind of my investment standout thing. So Motribe, being a tech company, we were raising a lot of money, and I flew over to New York, and in the space of 6 months, I think I pitched to 60 different investors in Germany, London, New York, Texas, all over the place. It's okay. It's better than a cell phone ringing. And in pitching competitions, it's complicated and it's intense. It's not like anything here. In South Africa, we're all very polite and we're very humble and we're very nice people, and we want other people to tell other people how good we are. We don't tell people how good we are. We're more conservative. So investment competitions in the States go as follows. There are 10 startups. You each have 5 minutes. You get to tell your story with 5 slides, and you have an investment proposition at the end of the slide, and you have to somehow find a way to stand out with companies that are earning millions of dollars in revenue and getting hundreds of thousands of customers a day. And the way I stood out was by being loud, and physically loud. I would wear socks. So I'd stand up and go, "Hi, I'm Nick and I wear loud socks." And people would come up to me afterwards and go, "Hey, you're the sock guy, tell us about your business." And it worked for me. For years and years, it worked for me. It was how I stood out. So standing in my depression in my socks and underwear and holy socks, I realized that I had money and I had time and I had a passion for socks. So I decided that I should probably consider doing a local version of these socks, cheaper, with better quality, and do them myself. So I started investigating. That led me to Nick Socks. Now, the caveat here is that I know absolutely nothing about fashion. I have never made a real product in my life. I've either written or sat behind a computer, but I wanted something tangible. I wanted something that I could feel, that I could sell to someone. I didn't want to shovel shit, because in tech, we shovel shit. It's true, it's what we do. Every app is another way to shovel shit. It just is. It's more time away from people and more time on screen, we shovel shit. And I did it, and it's a hard sale. But with the real product, you have something tangible that either someone likes or they don't. You don't have to sell someone on that. They see your website, they like it or they don't. So these pictures, by the way, are all pictures from our factory. This is a 60-year-old sock machine. And what this particular sock machine does, it's a bit distorted, I'm sorry, but it takes the sock and it makes it have no stitching. It's one of those irritations that people have, that you can feel the stitching on your socks. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, it was like, but you can see how freaking old this thing is. So we unfortunately don't make use of this, because to get our volume of socks would take us 6 years. So we don't use that. But so why socks? Well, I picked a passion. It's really, really simple. After Motribe, I wanted to remind myself that business could be fun. Business should be fun. You should be passionate about what you do in spite of working your ass off all day, every day, and having really bad and good days. It still should be fun. So socks were so foreign to me that I wanted to challenge myself as well and learn while I was building, because consistently doing something that you know about without progressing was frustrating me. I've realized over 10 failures and 2 successes that, no, that water's loving you. 10 failures, 1 success, and 1 current business, that what I like to do is build businesses. I don't necessarily like to build them to 20 years into it, but I like to build things and learn things. So that's kind of what I decided to do, was go and learn. happen. So I did. I literally drove into Epping in Cape Town, which is where the manufacturing happens in Cape Town, and found a sock company, knocked on their door and said, hi, who owns this? And Dennis was there, and I sat down with Dennis and said, I know nothing about socks. I would like you to teach me. And I swear I met the only nice guy in the whole of the manufacturing industry. And he was like, sure, sit down, what do you want to know? And he told me about cotton and polyester and bamboo and wool and mohair and all these really interesting things. And I scribbled down notes like a maniac. And by the end of it, I had placed an order. So the how is the part that people seem to like the most. South Africans seem to think that raising money makes it easy to build a business and to sell a business. So at Motribe, we raised a lot of money and then we exited, and everyone was like, oh, it was easy. You raised money. That's how this works, right? You raise money, you sell your business, done. And the truth is, it's not. It's not that easy. So I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't raise money because it was easy. And I didn't build a business and succeed because I had money. So what I did with Socks was I did everything quickly, and I wanted to move fast and break things. So I paid a logo designer, like 1,000 rand or something stupid. And I said to him, I don't care what you come back with. The name is Socks. It needs to look like a sock, and I'll see you in a week. And he gave me a logo back. He picked the color. I didn't pick orange. He picked the orange. And he did the Argyle type background. He did the logo, the color, everything. And I took 5,000 rand and I placed an order for 4 samples. The interesting thing about samples, you don't have to pay for the socks up front. Samples are free. Any manufacturer, I'm serious, think about this if you want to make something. Any manufacturer will make you a sample for free because they want your business. So I learned this, and this was heaven to me. So what I did was I made 4 samples of 4 designs that I did myself on Photoshop in literally a JPEG that's like this big. You send it to them, and this is rudimentary stuff. I hand drew it first, translated it into Photoshop, sent it to the manufacturer. They made me 4 pairs, literally 4 pairs. I took my phone, not kidding, my iPhone, took 4 photos of them, put a little website up on WordPress, which is free, WooCommerce, which is free, used PayFast, which is free, and bought my domain, which cost me $100. And then I phoned CityMob, and at the time they were CityMob, now they're Superbalist. Did a partnership with them. We launched the Socks sale, pushed people to my website and to theirs, and I sold 800 pairs of socks in 10 days. I didn't have the socks at that time. These were sample photos that I had. At that point, I was like, cool, we've got money. So I took the money that I earned from CityMob on the fact that I was going to get that money because they were going to pay, and I ordered my socks. 6 weeks later, I had socks, and I shipped them to the people. CityMob paid me, and I had a business. And I've been building the business out of profit ever since. I have not invested money that I haven't recouped within a couple of weeks in the business. Everything has grown organically in 18 months. To give you some interesting numbers, last year we did 6,500 pairs of socks. We sold 6,500 pairs of socks. That was from January to December. This year we're in July and we've sold 60,000 pairs of socks already. So the market is there. There is a market, but the market, and this takes me to my next slide. I'm an e-commerce company, but the market is not online. South Africa is not ready to do that volume online yet. I don't know how many of you heard that Takealot has raised R1 billion, $100 million. That is incredibly scary because it means they're everyone's competitor now, but it means they're going to drag our population into e-commerce. Everyone is going to have a credit card. Everyone is going to buy online. Everyone is going to be used to shipping and waiting for shipping and understanding how it works and free shipping. And so it's okay, but the world is not there yet. And I'm an 18-year-old company that needs sales today to fund my business. The only way to do that is real world business. Handshakes, network, selling. Most businesses that I've come across do not have a capital problem. They have a sales problem. Most businesses I come across don't have a cash flow problem. They have a sales problem. It means that you think your product should sell itself. Oh, I've got the best socks in the country. Everyone should just buy them. Bullshit. That's not the way this works. You have to sell. I'm not kidding, 1 sock at a time. Every sale counts. I do all my customer service. I answer every tweet, every Instagram post. I'm up at 6 in the morning writing content. I do everything myself because the immediacy matters. And without a doubt, every customer service email I answer converts a sale. People will say to me, do you deliver wherever? Yes, we do, and we'll give you 20% off. Happy to do it. Margins on socks are very big, so I can afford to give 20% off. So the break the rules, this slide actually stems from an experience that I had. The fashion industry is one hell of a weird place. No one wants to tell you anything about anything. I'm sure Spilly can attest with manufacturing and bottles and things. No one wants to give secrets away. Their supplier is theirs. You want to find their supplier, tough shit. You've got to work for it. Good luck. Enjoy. That's the way it is. I did not do that. I chose to be open. So in certain environments, if you ask me stuff, I will tell you, not on film to a whole room of people. But if we're sitting together and you want to know what my revenue is, I'll tell you. I don't care. Because when I was at Motribe and we just lost our client and 2 million rand in a day, one of my friends, Rich, said to me, how you going, bro? How's work? How's things? And my gut reaction as a South African conservative entrepreneur was to say, it's fine. Everything's fine. And he looked at me and I could see he knew I was talking bullshit. And I said, you know what, actually, it's fucking horrible. I hate it. I hate everything. I hate this. I have staff. I have to fire them. I'm fucked. This isn't working. And you know what he did? He looked at me and said, me too. I'm tired and I'm overworked and I'm underpaid and I'm fucking bored. And it was the honesty. And South Africans do not like honesty. We don't like failing. We don't like telling people how much money we spend and how many clients we have. We don't like being honest and open, and it's breaking the entrepreneurial space in our country. It is ridiculous. So I made a decision there and then that when someone asks me how I'm doing, I tell them. And if you don't want to listen, then don't ask me. If you have that vacant look in your face when I actually tell you, I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. I'm going to leave now because you don't give a fuck. And seriously, when people say to you, how are you? They don't mean it. Most of the time, they don't freaking mean it, and it pisses me off. So I'm honest to the point of upsetting people, and it is my thing. I'm very honest about that. It's tough shit. So breaking the rules was a very unique approach to me, and it'll come back in the slides later. I didn't know what the rules were in fashion. I had no idea because I'm not from the fashion industry. I'm not classically trained. I'm not a designer. I don't know anything about the industry. So when people would say to me, where do you get your socks made? I would tell them, and then they'd go and make their own fucking socks. So I kind of was like, this is so irritating. But the phrase that started to mean a lot to me is a rising tide lifts all ships. The more people that buy socks, the more people will find me because my brand is better, because my customer service is better, because my socks are better. That's how you have to look at competition. The more competition, the more validation. So I then had to start understanding this retail thing. I'm not a guy from retail. I've never sold anything in a shop of any kind. So I had to understand what wholesale was. And the funniest example of that and of the rules concept, and I didn't know I was breaking them at the time, is a lady here in this area has a boutique fashion store, and she did women's clothes, wanted to move into men's clothing, was down for Fashion Week 12 months ago, and she said to me, I want to meet with you. This would be really great if we could talk, and I want to stock your socks. So I was like, cool, let's do this. And she said to me, cool, so what's your wholesale price? Now we're meeting for coffee. And I was like, I have no idea. What's a wholesale price? And she was like, you're never going to make it in this industry. And I was like, okay, well, just educate me. Don't be a bitch, just educate me. And she was like, oh, okay. So wholesale price is what you give me so I can mark up so that I can make the sale. And I said to her, why would I do that? I don't understand the principle. She said, well, because I've got foot traffic. And I said, but so do I. I've got a website. She was like, no, but people don't come to your store. I was like, yeah, they do. They click and they see my store. She's like, yeah, but I'm offering you an audience. I'm like, yeah, but I've got the whole world. You've got people in Parkhurst. I don't understand why I should give you 3/4 of my price off. I couldn't get it into my head. I did not understand this. She was so offended by me that she literally looked me in the eye and said, you will never make this industry. You are the most offensive human being I've ever met. She said, you have to leave now. I'm going to get really angry. I was like, fine. I put 20 rand down for my cappuccino and I walked off. And at that point, I realized that I had a business. Because the incumbents who are in the world aren't moving fast enough to see what's coming and going to kill them. They don't see the Takealots of the world, the Zandos of the world. They don't understand that their businesses are in trouble. Foot traffic is going to be restricted by mobile and digital, and they're in trouble. So at that point I was like, cool, rules exist to know that they're there, but to ignore them until you need them. That's how I approach this. Rules are only there for the people who want to follow them. And that wasn't me in fashion because I don't know the rules. So I moved on. This is the part that Spilly wanted me to start getting to. There are some caveats on my immediacy of sales. I've been blogging since 2002, when Blogger sort of started. In the media space, we kind of had to stay on the cuff of things. So I had a good following. I have written columns for Entrepreneur magazine, and I have a big network of PR and marketing people in my world because I came from Rhodes. I'm sorry, Spilly, I had to mention it. So having been out of university for 10 years now, all the people I studied with are now in very high-end positions in all the magazines, newspapers, radio stations, TV stations in the country. So that means that I'm able to phone them up and ask them for favors. And those favors are coverage. I'm an absolute media whore, which I will tell you about later. But I use social media to good effect. So in the last, 6 years of being on Twitter, I've got 6,500 followers. I have a big Facebook friend bullshit. I've unfollowed everyone, but they still follow me. So I use my social blatantly to punt my business, because I'm sick of social. I don't want to hear everyone's lunches and shit. I care about my business, and I'll tell you about that now too. But I use social to good effect. I got my friends who had big followings to retweet my tweets, like Spilly and like a whole bunch of other people, and that helped me gain early traction on all of the relevant places that I needed. I also targeted specific people on social media. So there's this email list called the Geek List, which I'm not a part of. It's all these highfalutin tech people. They got wind of what I was doing after Motribe, and they just started hammering me on this Geek List email about how no one would buy my socks because they were too expensive. And my immediate response on Twitter was, if you can't afford my socks, you're not my market. That's it. Because it's true. I was separating myself from everyone else. You can't be everything to everyone, so I was going to be the top to the top. We are a premium accessories brand, that's it. And it worked for me. People started to like my brand, my aesthetic, my quick customer support, that I was very free and open with information. But there are always challenges. And for an e-commerce business, the number one challenge is traffic. Setting up your website is piss easy. Seriously, I'm writing an ebook. It'll take you 3 days to do. It's not that hard. Setting up payments is not hard. Finding product is not hard. The fucking hard part is getting people to your website. That takes years. I've recently managed through much SEO work to become the top page. I think I'm at the bottom of the first page of the term socks. That has multiplied my traffic by 10 in the last 3 weeks. That took me 12 months to do, 12 months of SEO work, and now I'm starting to see the benefit of that. So once you figure out the traffic thing, when you do, you can tell me how to do it. The next 3 things, as you all will know, are cash flow. That's it. It's cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, fucking cash flow. Because even though I have money in my bank, I'm now boxing above my weight. So I'm ordering, I literally just put in an order for 100,000 rands worth of stock. And my website's not earning that much money every month. So I'm praying to whoever I atheist pray to make that money up as you go. But you don't make money by saving. You make money in a business by growing and by pushing and by risking. So I'm managing my cash flow now, and that means that I juggle things. A really interesting little trick that I learned that I didn't realize no one else did in the industry. But if you've worked in an agency or for an agency or with an agency and they're paying you, you'll know this very well. Agencies push the boundary of payment terms to the max. They'll say 90 days and then pay you on the 100th, okay? Very simple reason for that, and this is it. Very, very simple. Cash flow. I decided to not do that with any of my suppliers. My stock guys, I pay them a week before they deliver me stock. From the first time. I ordered 20,000 rand worth of socks. I took the money out of my savings and paid them a week before they were due to give me the socks. And they were like, this is not comfortable. Why are you doing this? And I said to them, they seriously, they couldn't understand it. And I said to them, it's really, really simple. If I pay you on time, you'll deliver on time. And they did. Every time. Now they know that when I put an order in, I will pay early and they will deliver first. So I go to the top of every single one of my suppliers lists, every single time, because they know I'm honest, because I'm transparent and I'm not trying to fuck them, which is what everyone is trying to do. Everyone is trying to screw you over. And if you don't believe that, you are in dreamland. Seriously. If you're not screwing someone over, they're screwing you over. It's really that simple. I know I'm cynical, but it really is that simple. So I chose to be honest and tell people, look, I'm not trying to screw you over. Here's the money. If you want to screw me over and not give me the stock, fine, I'll never come back to you. That's absolutely fine. But if you do, watch my business grow. So My sock manufacturers luckily are nice people, and they were like, Brad, let's do this. So they lowered their minimum order amounts. The minimum order amount is how many products you can order before they take your order. So you can't go to my manufacturers and order 20 pairs. You could, but they'll charge you 500 Rand a pair. So the minimum order for Nick socks is 200. Normally it's 1,000. They took a risk on me. And it paid off for them. Like I said, 6,000 socks last year, 60,000 socks this year. Imagine what that's doing to their bottom line. So they're also seeing the benefit of this honesty and upfront approach to business.